It is such a gorgeous day after all that rain that we have had the last couple weeks. I thought I would go ahead and take you around and let you see what's growing, whether in the garden or in our medicinal garden, herb garden, maybe some wild plants. And because of all that rain, our grass needs to be mowed, so just ignore any maintenance that needs to go on. What are you chickens up to? Huh? What's you up to? I have given the chickens this circle drive that used to be a pretty flower garden. They would not stay out of it, so we made an agreement. They can have this, they can take it over if they stay out of my garden and my other flower beds. So far, so good. Here is a pretty good section of my apple mint. This stuff gets about 5 to 7 feet tall. It flowers, and when it flowers, the bees just love it. But it's a mint, and it grows these fuzzy, hairy leaves. These are so good to make a tea out of, and they smell amazing. What you want, Foxy? You gonna sneak up on me? Yeah? Are you just curious? Yeah? Hey, Betsy. Hi, Betsy. Okay, so the first thing up here is we are in part of the driveway. You can see all of this, what many people would consider weeds. I want to point out we have a bunch of this growing. This is pineapple weed. It is basically a wild cousin of chamomile. It smells really good. You can make a tea out of it. It actually tastes pretty good as well. You know, you can look into this, and if you can't grow chamomile but you have this natively, that might be a good option for you. All right, so now let's go look at chamomile. Here's what you could call domesticated chamomile. This is actual seed. So what is here on the ground actually came from another patch. This is German chamomile, and it just self-seeds so readily. And it is just starting to bloom now. We are just now at the right time for chamomile to start blooming. And it also goes over here. Our garden, we are actually like redoing some things, so it's quite a mess. But I do have some garden tours last year if you're, interested in seeing what the overall garden looks like. So I showed you the pineapple weed up there, and you can see this actually, when the German chamomile is in the flower bud stage, it resembles the pineapple weed very similarly. So they are very similar. Here's some more of the German chamomile. Here's one garden bed that we have. It has a few elephant garlic bulbs here growing, and then it also has hardneck garlic and some onions. So that's what this entire bed is right here. Here I have what is left of chickweed. It is about done for this season right now. It is a cool crop, and it's getting warmer, but it was just growing, like all of this brown here was chickweed, and it was just growing right here in between these two beds. This bed right here is just all carrots. I have 3 different varieties of carrots. Here's a volunteer mullein plant. This bed has some volunteer, it could be tomatoes or tomatillos, as both were planted here last year and the year before. So we'll see what those are. But this garden bed is planted with 2 varieties of green beans. You can see right here we have a volunteer lamb's quarter. I'm just gonna let it go ahead and grow. And we have some volunteer calendula. I grew a couple squares full of calendula last year. There's a couple more. This bed right here has some potatoes growing. So we are focusing on root crops this year. That's really all that we're gonna do this year. Now over here, I did not mow this down because the bees love it. This is just a patch of white clover. Yes, our honeybees just love it. And over here, I just dropped a few sunflower seeds, not expecting anything, but I just did anyway, and they actually popped up. Very surprising. Here's some wild lettuce. When the wild lettuce is brand new leaves and young and tender, they are very tasty. I currently have some wild lettuce tincture going. You can see our elderberry bushes, trees, whatever you want to call them. They are preparing to bloom, and I'm telling you, there is not much of a better smell than elderflowers when they are in bloom. The smell, it just floats on the air. They just smell fabulous. This L-shaped area right here, this is our strawberry patch. We have already picked about 6 gallons of strawberries in just less than a week, and I have canned, I think, 36 half pints of strawberry jam so far. I have another gallon in the fridge that I need to can up, and it looks like I need to come out here and pick some more. Anyway, but they are doing fabulous. And they are so good. Right, Chief? Yeah, Chief likes strawberries too. There's another strawberry patch. And here's a side view of the elderberries. Yes, remember I said we need to mow. Okay, so on this fence right here, this is our blackberries. And then in between, well, I'll say originally, in between the blackberries, I planted one little yarrow. And that was a couple years ago. And the yarrow has just taken over. So we use the yarrow for medicinal use. I've got to come out here and I guess dry some more. Maybe just get rid of what I had last year that I dried, give it away. But the yarrow, it's beautiful. The ladybugs love it. And then also, let's see here. There's another mullein plant. On the hillside, right there, we have some purple clover. And then you'll see those colored, you'll see right there. We have several bachelor buttons that have just self-seeded around this hillside here. Our blackberry bushes are in bloom, and it's like some are getting pollinated. Oh, they are just gorgeous. They're doing well. And this is one of my favorite spots of the garden, is this wildflower patch that we put in. We put this in, I believe, 2021 maybe. And each season it changes colors. So right now it's beautiful pinks and blues and whites and purples. Those will go away, and then I'll have some darker colors, and this fall it'll have yellows and oranges, and just, I think there's also some reds in there maybe. Anyway, it's beautiful. So we have some more yarrow. And this patch right here, these dark leaves, those are echinacea. You can see the echinacea is getting ready to bloom right there. And we have some more. And all these colored, beautiful things. These are all bachelor buttons. They're just beautiful. And they self-seed so readily. These pink and purple ones and white ones, these are Sweet William dianthus. We have several of them. Here's some. And they spread or self-seed, I'm not sure which, but just as readily as the bachelor buttons. You can see there's some more echinacea, and there's more echinacea. There's another echinacea. Then I have some more echinacea right there. And right in here. Right here I have some pleurisy root, also called orange butterfly weed. Here I have some bee balm or monarda that I transplanted from the woods. We'll see if it makes it. It's not looking too happy, but we'll see. But this is just my favorite spot in the garden. Is right here. I love coming out here and just watching all the bees and the different insects and just their way of life. It's just, you learn so much by watching nature. And over here, what you see, this is common mallow. So I also grow marshmallow plant for its medicinal qualities. But if you cannot grow the actual marshmallow plant, if you look around, you might have the common mallow. This stuff grows pretty low to the ground. I don't think it really gets over a foot. Hi. Hi, Max. Hi, Max. How you doing, bud? Huh? How you doing? But the leaves, they have mucilage in them. Even when you dry them out, you can put a dry leaf in your mouth and kind of, waller it around in your mouth, and it's kind of creamy and silky and gooey in your mouth as well. And it produces these beautiful pink flowers. Let me see if I can focus on that. I really like this plant, so you can harvest this as well. After the flower has been pollinated, it produces this little seed here, and it's not ripe yet because it's not brown, but the seed looks like a little cheese wheel. Chief. And growing in amongst the common mallow is some cleavers. We like playing with cleavers when our children were little. The way I taught them about cleavers is if you try to go from the bottom up, it's sticky. It feels sticky. It grabs your skin. It'll stick to your clothes. In this video, I'm not going to go over any medicinal properties. That would just take too long. Let's go see what else. I just showed you the wild common mallow. This is the actual marshmallow plant. It has very soft, velvety leaves. It grows pretty tall. You can see here some from last year. But it grows pretty tall. I think mine usually grows around just over 5 feet tall, maybe 6 foot. But it produces beautiful flowers. You can use the leaves as well as the flowers and the roots medicinally. You can use the leaves during flowering or right after flowering in order to get the highest mucilage content of the leaves. But it's just a beautiful plant. It's a perennial. It comes back every single year. Over here is my St. John's wort. It's also perennial, and it just continues to expand every year. And it looks like I have a little marshmallow plant right here that's self-seeded. And right in here, we have some self-seeded. We have some feverfew. All of this is feverfew. We have some anise hyssop. So these here, all of these are self-seeded anise hyssop. And we have a chamomile that's self-seeded right here. Looks like some anise hyssop also self-seeded in the asparagus bed, as well as some calendula. This is some of the asparagus. Here we have some yellow wood sorrel. It is growing in one of our garden beds. You can eat the leaves and the flowers, and then also these little seed pods right here that look like little pickles. So you can eat these as well. Them and the leaves, they have like a little tart twang, like a sour little pucker taste to them. They are good. They are quite tasty, actually. But we just let them go ahead and grow here happily. Over here, we have some more mullein plants. They have gotten beat by all of this rain and flash flooding that we have got, but I think they'll be okay. There's another one right there. That one is going to send up a flower stalk this year. Mullein is a biennial, so the first year it just produces these leaves. The second year it produces the leaves again, obviously, and then it sends up a tall flower stalk that has beautiful yellow flowers on it, and it is medicinal as well. We use it for allergies and respiratory issue. It is one of our herbs that we will not be without. I don't know if you can see them or not, but our bees, they are very active today on this gorgeous day. They are just busy, busy, busy. Here's one of our hives. I gotta check them either today or tomorrow and probably add another box or two. And then over here, we have a couple more hives. These guys are busy as well. And sorry, I'm not gonna get much closer. I'm not in my suit today. But we're close enough. And of course, no apothecary would be complete without some plantain. This is broadleaf plantain. We just love this stuff. It is good for your skin, bug bites, scratches, even illness. This is just, it is so great to have. There's this broadleaf, and there's also English plantain, which is right here. We actually have a ton of the English plantain. We much more prefer the broadleaf, primarily because the English, when you dry it, pretty much it will always dry brown. It's still okay as long as you harvest it when it's green and start to dry it when it's green, but I don't like the looks of it, so we prefer the broadleaf plantain. Hey, bud. You want to go look at the herbs? Huh? You go look at the herbs? You can get your toy? Yep. This is primarily my culinary herb garden. Yes, it is medicinal as well, but it's primarily my culinary. If you can see these butterflies and these little bees and little insects on them, this is just, it's gorgeous. Okay, so right here, we just have regular thyme in bloom. Right over there, the green part, that's not in bloom, that is lemon thyme. And these types of leaves that you see, so there's a patch, there's one, there's one, there's one, and then there's some that have spilled out over the side right here. These are all lemon balm. So these are lemon balm. And this is sage. It is a perennial, comes back every year. The thymes also come back every year. The lemon balm, it's actually come back every single year, but the mother plant is not here this year. So these all must have been from seed, because I always let it go to seed every year. And then all the green grassy stuff, this is all garlic chives. This large section here is oregano. Right here is some parsley. Sorry, I just really love watching the insects on the flowers. Okay, and then let's go over here. I have some lavender. So all of this right here is lavender, and it's also a perennial, and it smells so good. It's just starting to bloom. You can see the sage has beautiful flowers. You can just brush your hand across the lavender and just the scent is carried on the breeze. It smells so good. Okay, and then I have right there that little thing and that little guy, that's rosemary. I just put them in the ground. My rosemary never makes it. It's a perennial, but it just gets too cold here, so I might try to actually pot it up and bring it inside this year. We'll see. Here we have an apple tree. As you can see, we have little apples growing. We're excited about that. So we have that apple tree, and over there's an apple tree, plum tree, and then around some of the trees, which my husband kind of keeps them all mowed down, unfortunately, but around this plum tree I have cat mint. It has little dainty leaves. And over here around this plum tree, I did have the last few years catnip, but it is gone. Okay, looks like here it is. Here's a little bitty one. But yeah, this root right here, this is catnip. So I'm not sure what happened to it this year, but it just, the perennial part of it just died. Okay. I was excited to see a bird nest in this plum tree. And here we have a peach tree and another peach tree. Around this peach tree, I have some chocolate mint growing. So our plan was to do the mint because mint is pretty invasive. Our plan was to plant different kinds of mint around the trees and then let them just take over. And then we would just mow the grass, and any mint that was into the grass part that we didn't want it to be, we would just mow it down, you know, and make the air smell good. So far, it's not doing very well about taking over. This will be the third summer that this has been here, this mint, and it's not taken over very much. But then again, we're not fertilizing, so that could be it. Over here on this peach tree, we had some spearmint. No, I think this one was peppermint. I forget. I think this one was peppermint. Anyway, there's a few little shoots. It's still early in the year. We will see what it does. And over here on this apple tree, we have some spearmint right here. Now it doesn't look like much, but this is actually beautiful when it is all in flower. And it's getting ready to bloom. So this is pleurisy root, like I showed you in the flower patch earlier, also called orange butterfly weed. We grew this for monarchs, and the monarch caterpillars, they just love it. We started off with one plant, and it self-seeds pretty easily. So we now have a ton of it. And then we also have some beautiful dianthus and some more dianthus. They're not in bloom yet, but they will be. Oh, look, we have some starting right here. Little flower buds. And there's one in bloom already. But this is medicinal as well. And then all of these green leaves right here, these are all some black-eyed Susans. We also have them around this electric pole. And these little dainty purple flowers, these are the flowers of catmint. It's a beautiful little plant. I love how it just kind of sprawls around. And then here is a wild thorny rose bush that God planted here for us. My husband says I need to move it, which is true because it's right in the yard and it's very thorny, but I told him maybe next year. I want to see the quality of the rose hips. So we will see. Right here are some of our wild black raspberries. And let's see. You can see some of them have already flowered and they've been pollinated, so we have little black raspberries starting. And on wild black raspberries, the underside of the leaf is very a light green, almost silvery. And the new growth, the new shoots, like right down there, that'll also be kind of a soft green. Whereas when they get older, they have the darker branches, like this one here. Right, so I am excited to be able to harvest some of these. This is just one of our patches. We have a couple more. Now let's go see if the bee balm is in bloom. Well, I know it is. I've actually harvested a little bit of it, but I need to see if there's quite a bit more. I've only got to dry just a little bit. It is just gorgeous. This weather, the plants, the insects, cheepers. But I just love being in nature so much. It's relaxing, it's calming, it's entertaining. It's just good for you. There's nothing bad that can come of it. Unless you're allergic to it, then try nettles. I'm telling you, they work. All right, first plant we see here. This is foxglove. Now, before you say no it's not, or before you say it's toxic, this is not the same foxglove that is toxic, okay? This is beard tongue foxglove. It is a different species, even a different genus. This particular one is not used medicinally. At least I cannot find any literature on it being used medicinally. It is not very invasive. But it's just a beautiful plant. And you can see it's called beard tongue because you see that yellow part sticking out? It looks like a hairy tongue. Therefore, beard tongue. Let me see if I can get it to focus. Anyway, it is a beautiful plant. The insects love it. Right. Let's look for the bee balm. Or some call it Monarda. That is the genus name for it, but there are different species. Okay, so I see some. I did not bring any tick spray, and we get ticks in this area heavily. So here is some bee balm. Just beautiful. Makes a good tea. Some more Monarda or bee balm. It's just beautiful. And here we have some redbud trees. And some locust trees. They have these sharp thorns on them, and those thorns will puncture a tire. Well, they're back at it. Hey, Chief! Right down there, those umbrella-looking plants, those are May apples. And if you are curious about May apple, you can go to my website, and under Plant ID, you can see pictures and read all about May apple. The good and the bad. That website is linked below, and it is againstthegrainhomestead.com. What you doing, bud? Huh? Ready to go home? Come on, let's go back up to the house. Here is a yellow dock. Some people call it curly dock. It also has some medicinal uses, especially the root. And I will show you one that it's either in bloom or going to seed. I haven't looked at it closely. Right here, it is the curly dock, the yellow dock. You can see it's called curly because the leaves are curly. And it is, let's see, it is starting to go to flower. The flower buds are not open yet. But whenever they open and get pollinated, the seed is pretty interesting. I think it's pretty. Oh, it looks like here's one that is starting to develop some seed. Anyway, they are an interesting plant. Now in the fall, when the tops die back and they get all brown, they're pretty ugly. But I think right now they're pretty.